From Sao Paulo, Brazil, sanctioned by the Absolute Beginner League, this is the Global SimRacing Channel's opening round coverage of the Formula Neagle Season 22 Championship. Now, Brazil is the birthplace of the Bossa Nova, which translates from Portuguese as new trend. When fans of Formula Neagle think of new trends, their attention quickly turns to Lee Anderson, who was the new trend for Season 21. Earning his first championship and in the process racing his iconic frosted purple Skippy to victory lane in 4 of 6 events. But the rhythm of this series has been beating for many a measure. The modern era of Formula Neagle began in Season 5. By winning the championship in Season 21, Anderson joins an elite cadre of 7 other drivers to wear the Formula Neagle crown, 8 of which have been sized to fit the noggin of the Roland Estonian Aero Num. David Third Degree Burns has a pair of titles, and last season was able to halt Anderson's race winning streak at 4. With the point standings rebooted to the default settings to begin Season 22, many questions arise. Can Anderson join Burns as a 2-time champ? Will Burns be able to get a 3rd belt? Which driver from the past will return and attempt to reclaim their fame? Which current driver can up their game and become the 9th member of that elite cadre of champions? Or will an unknown dancer take the floor and surprise everyone with some new choreography? It's festival time at Autódromo José Carlos Pache, and all the simulated Skippy action from green flag to victory donut streams your way live as it happens right here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Peace, good health, and welcome to the beginning of yet another Formula Neagle season and broadcast. Way up in the press box to bring you our Words Eye View. Denim Jeans, DJ Clark, alongside yours truly, Bill Soup Zahn. Sean Ambrose has director duties with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The last time Formula Neagle came to Brazil was the opening round of Season 15. 3 days short of 2 calendar years and some 39 races ago. Dennis Garrison picked up his first of 3 career wins on that day, helping him to a runner-up spot in the Season 15 championship race. So since it's been quite a while since we've tasted the refreshing Caipirinha cocktail that is famous here in Brazil, let's get a refresher look at Interlagos.
Welcome to Autódromo's José Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its 2 layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of 2 circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Sena S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those 2 corners. But from Ferradura until Junção, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo.
The drunken snake that is Interlagos. Now, hopefully with some more practical thoughts about today's venue, let me reintroduce my booth mate, DJ Clark. DJ, welcome.
Hey, Soup, how you doing this morning?
Very good. Good to start another one of these seasons. These are always fun.
They are indeed, and as we look here at the Autódromo Carlos Pache Interlagos, it is a 15-turn, 2.67 1.7-mile road course. It is one of the most historic racing venues in the world, obviously the site of many a Brazilian Grand Prix and many a wonderful memory from Ayrton Senna's famous sixth gear only winning drive all the way through to Lewis Hamilton and Felipe Massa's battle through to 2008. The best places to overtake here for these Skippy cars are going to be going into the turns 1 and 2 complex of the Senna S. You can potentially see a little bit diving down into turn 4, maybe a little bit into the heavy braking zone of turn 8 if somebody's lucky, but this is going to be a majorly draft-heavy circuit. You're going to see a lot of people try to line up, get the air blocked in front of them, and try to slip right behind them. It's going to be a great, great race here, though, in these Skippy cars.
Always exciting to be down here. The atmosphere and the racing always good. Since this is the first round, we don't have any points to show you, but we can show you the results from last season because we get an opportunity to show you how everything added up there. Let's take a look at those right now. 4 wins was more than enough for Lee Anderson to earn his first championship. Let's talk about Yushios, the junkyard dog. He closed out the season with a pair of second-place finishes. A championship in seasons 16 and 20 for David Third Degree Burns is scheduled to make his series-leading 102nd start today. Congratulations to Third Degree. Now, this is interesting, and DJ's going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute. A pair of F2 drivers finished 4th and 5th overall. That's Lee Salander getting the nod over Eric Lukl by 2 points. But things get a little tighter between those two when you look at the F2 race. DJ?
Right, in the F2 standings, remember, this is for drivers who have an I rating under 2,300. Now, as you saw in that first graphic, Lukl was able to beat out Salander, was able to beat out Lukl by 2 points. But because the F2 championship is based on how you finish respective of other F2 drivers, they actually tied at the end of the season. Behind them, Christopher Giros, he was 8th in the overall standings, but he was able to come home in P3 effectively with the tie. The Trident, Frightened Neptune, never finished worse than 12th overall for the entire season. Great run for an F2 driver. And finally on that list there, you see Nicholas Falk, his best finish of the year, 5th place in Montreal, and Wojciech Podacek. He is scheduled to make his 66th start here today at Interlagos. That'll put him up to 10th all-time in Formula Neagle starts.
You guys in graphic design were kind to the rest of the drivers, as is indeed Garros was 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th for Podacek. We gave them a spot up because of the tie in first. Let's go ahead and look at the team championship now. Those are not as significant as before. They didn't quite have their teams lined up as much as before. Two Stupid Dogs wins another crown. It was good to see them doing so well. You can see the rest of the teams filling out, but really, they were the class of the field. Now, with that said, we're always picking up new viewers, so let's take a look at the race details. DJ, how's this going to play out?
Well, this is going to be, as we're used to seeing here in Formula Neagle, a 40-minute race. We have open setups, but there is a 51% fuel limit. What does that mean? It means that folks are going to have to come into the pits and take on some new fuel, probably some new tires at the same time at some point during the course of this race. It is a standing start, which always makes it exciting diving down here into this beautiful left-right of the Senna S. So that is what we've got on the docket today, and this is, of course, round 1 of season 22 of Formula Neagle.
As we turn our attentions to qualifying, DJ, we talked about it pre-race. One of the big news about the scoring system is bonus points now.
Indeed. We have some new bonus points available. On top of the normal bonus points you get for fastest lap and racing clean, as well as the hard charger, you also will get 3 bonus points for qualifying in the top 3. So that is 3 points for first, 3 points for second, and 3 points for third. So making qualifying all the more important. That is modeled after the actual system they use in real-life Formula 2. So Formula Neagle adding a new little wrinkle into the championship, hopefully going to make it a little bit tighter this year.
Well, yeah, and you think about it, if you can get in that top 3 for the 6 races that are coming up, that's 18 bonus points. That's a big bag of bonus points for you to take into the final tally. Before we look at qualifying, let's look at the weather, see how that's going to play out. It feels pretty comfortable. Oh, it's in Celsius. I have no idea what that means. Go ahead, DJ.
Well, I've luckily got my little converter up on the screen. It's 112 degrees on track right now. I couldn't tell you what the air temperature is because I don't know how to do that number. but it is about 17 miles an hour of wind. Now that's really going to mess up these cars as these cars undulate through here. You're going to see a little bit of overcorrection. You're going to see a little bit of all of that. It's going to make things very difficult, and it's going to make the draft all the more important when you're coming down this main straight or even on the long blast from turn 3 to turn 4.
Boy, did GJ and I just show our egocentric American attitude there. We have no idea what Celsius is. He's got the conversions. Nice job, buddy. Of course, so many of our viewers are from across the pond, so we like to give stuff in Celsius and lets the commentators show their ignorance. All right, let's turn our attention to something more important now. Let's go to qualifying. We look at the top 3. David Third Degree Burns, multi-time champion, no surprise there. Lee Anderson, another champion, in fact, the defending champion. But look at this. Wojciech Podolczyk, a longtime veteran. You heard TJ talk about him making a 66 career start here. That's about 10th overall. Sitting in that, well, we're going to call it the bubble spot there for that final bonus point.
He is indeed, and he is about a half a second back of David Burns there for first, but behind them, Ryan Walker, Ludwig Sau, Ricker Silva, they're all coming in. As we see here on the main straight, you can see Frederick Neptune blasting down, and we come here to Wojciech Podolczyk as he makes his way around, trying to get that good draft there from Lee Anderson, trying to pick up a little bit of speed. Obviously not as much aero wash on these cars as you would have in a higher up Formula car, so you're not going to have as much washout through this tight, twisty middle sector 2, but really able to get a good draft down this main straightaway here.
And again, one of the features that fools many a commentator is as they come off that final corner, you can see him. You'll hear us call people coming into pit lane a lot when they don't, as the racing line is right in pit entrance. They come across Podolczyk, able to stay in third. The guy that's trying to break into the bonus points there, Ryan Walker. One of the features here, DJ, we cover a lot of events on GSRC, and we don't get to do this a lot. This is open qualifying. Yeah, find yourself a partner to get behind, right?
It makes for an entirely different level of racing here. I know for me, when I'm out doing this on my own, it is a little frustrating when I'm racing something like Monza or Interlagos where that draft is in effect and you can't take advantage of it. But Formula Neagle here actually putting all the cars on track together so you can find that drafting buddy. You can get a little bit more speed as we watch here Ryan Walker trying to improve that time, break into that top 3.
And they do that intentionally. It's not just them being ignorant. They have made a point to do open qualifying. They like to emphasize the team aspect of it. You know, we talked about the draft a lot. We were talking with Johan Vanderbilt, a veteran of the series, talking about how the draft is here at Interlagos. And he says, yeah, you're not going to be able to break it, but because the track is so windy, the guy in the trailing still has to work hard to stay with the faster car ahead. And you don't save as much fuel as you do on other big draft tracks here. So while sitting behind will save you a little bit of fuel, it's not quite as big as it normally would seem.
No, it's not. And obviously, you don't have to worry about sort of tire strategy as much in these cars as you would as a high-deg series, something like IndyCar or Formula One. But taking a later pit stop, pitting later in the race means you've got to put less fuel in the car, and that can save you valuable tenths in the second. It's obviously the commentator's cliche, but the less time you are stationary, the more time you can gain up on track. So we're going to have to see who's really good at trying to find those tenths of a gallon in the draft. It'll be something very interesting to watch for.
And as we talk about that, we were talking about Johan Vanderbilt, the fan belt, now sitting in the top as he gets those 3 bonus points ahead of Burns and Anderson. One of the things I like to look at whenever we show the track map is how far down the finish line is from the final corner in relationship to the first corner. And here at Interlagos, it's really far down. So if you're thinking about, can you win the race at the very end coming out of the final corner here and snake to the win? My answer would be yes.
Oh, very much so. This is one of the greatest blasts out of the final corner. And obviously, the track map does include that turn 14 and 15, which are ostensibly flat out corners, as you see Aaron Law taking them here right now in that sort of reminiscent Lotus color there. Those final 2 corners are flat out. It's effectively a long straight all the way from turn 13 down to turn 1. So I would not be surprised if we see a side-by-side finish here if folks are close enough coming off that last corner on the last lap.
GSRC commentators are always apprehensive when it's time to do the opening round of any Formula Neagle season. It has been known for having sometimes incredibly large fields, up to 55 to 60 cars. Today, DJ, we have a very manageable, looks like about 33 drivers here today. That's a nice turnout.
Perfect number. It's exactly the Goldilocks number, I would say.
Yeah. All right. And we're looking at David Burns. There was a new driver we wanted to talk about here. We know the veterans. Rice Sanders is the guy to keep an eye on. He has I believe it's Reese Sanders. He has a really nice iRating and now sitting 4th in qualifying. A name to watch.
He's very much one that we're going to have to add to it, and sitting in 4th, only about 4 or 5 tenths of a second behind. As we watch him here, he looks like he is on his final lap, he is out of it for now. And so I think with the checkered flag out, just a couple guys maybe crossing the line, but it looks like we are set for that qualifying as I have checkered flag out on my screen.
Indeed, one of the things that open qualifying does is they let them finish their hot laps. We have to be careful here since we have a standing start. DJ and I are very much want to get our GSRC's commentator bonus for getting through the entire field before they go green. So just to make sure we get that bonus, let's go to the grid right now. We'll do them 10 at a time. It is the veteran, the fan build, Johan van de Velde. He doesn't think he was going to be that competitive, but right now he sits at the top of the chart. David Burns right next to him. Row 2 is Lee Anderson, defending champion, with Reese Sanders outside of him. Row 3 is Ryan Walker. Boy, he's getting faster all the time. Andre Solander, the F2 driver. Wojciech Podolczek and Ludwig Sauer make up row 4. And row 5 is going to be filled by Vincent Bream with Joost Junk to his outside. Keep an eye on car number 24.
Lining up in 11th is going to be Christopher Cook, followed by Christopher Giros in 12th. Joe Cole and Ricker Da Silva making up row 7 rather, excuse me. Pablo Lorenzo Santista going to be in row 8. Bus outside of him is going to be Neil Bamber. Luis Rodriguez Luan in 17th place, followed by Eric Leukel. And then in row 10 is going to be Eric Lundberg and Frederick the Trident Neptune.
Wojciech Podolczek's brother, Michael, is sitting in the blackjack position. The double duck spot goes to Josef Kiveri. Aaron Shangri-La is in the 23rd spot with Sebastian Johansson next to him. Edgar Sansinelli, a longtime Formula Neagle favorite, with Nathan Wilbury. Kevin Mills and Nico Roman in 28th position. Matt Tempest and Rod Izjuska. We'll learn some of these new names in 30th. Take those final 3 stragglers for me there, DJ.
And in 31st, not setting a time, is going to be Peter Houston. Lining up outside him in 32nd is going to be John Torpy. And bringing up the back of the field will be in 33rd, Troy Banks.
We get our bonus. We can go to McDonald's, pick ourselves up a Happy Meal. Johan van de Velde, the fan build out of front. He did not think he was going to be that competitive. What he said he was going to be very good as if we get this flyover. That is a nice juggy beard camera shot right there. You can see the gap as we wait for a few drivers to fill up those starting positions, and we can get this under green here. Johan van de Velde said he's going to be very good following people, so he's out in front. I'm not sure how long he's going to stay out there. You can hear the engine start to harmonize. You know what to do. It's season 22. Gather up the chickens, take covering on the cows. The horses are out of the barn, and it is indeed the fan belt. Johan van de Velde leading the stampede down into the first corner. He is chased by David Burns. On the outside is Anderson. They tuck into position. Oh, putting a nose in there and being very aggressive and almost losing it is Sanders. He gets it gathered up. Boy, that was an aggressive move early on from the rookie. Ryan Walker in 5th.
Really gutsy call there from Rhys Saunders, trying to show his muscle here early as Johan van de Velde really getting off to a good start, but David Burns right behind him as they dive down here into turn 4. Nothing happening behind, but behind him we're going 2 by 2 by 2 as the field really starts to fan out, trying to make a way through that corner. Everything relatively clean here. A couple of guys going off a little bit wide, but nothing too nasty here as we are green and clear for the first corners of Formula Neagle.
Up front, they are very well behaved, and that because there's veterans. Reese Saunders made that mistake going into corner number 1. I thought it was a mistake that he may have to pay for the entire race, as he might lose the draft, but that's not the case. His pace, DJ, was quick enough now. He has pulled up behind the front 3. Now it's up to Ryan Walker to see if he can stay with the lead guys.
And you see there Lee Anderson trying to take a poke on the outside, and David Burns as well. They're just lined up nose astern here. The power of the draft really coming into effect, even through the twisty bits of that middle sector too, as we line up here, diving down onto the turn 13, ready to go onto the long straight. Watch for these guys to pull out and make some moves as we start lap 2.
It'll be interesting to see if the leaders do actually start to move, swap positions, or they're just happy where they are. You can see on those long shots, the bright colored car, the man to watch. He's always a hard charger. Car number 24, racing in 8th position right now, the yellow and pink machine of Jost Junk, the junkyard dog. He is chasing right behind Wojciech Potacek as he tries to pick up maybe 1, maybe 2 positions. He moves to the inside. We're looking at 3 wide in the front. Meanwhile, up in front, there's a pass.
Lee Anderson
they get that sorted out.
Sorry about that. Lee Anderson able to make it work side by side. He's going to get the advantage. And here comes Reese Saunders on the outside trying to make it work around Johan van der Velde.
Let's get a replay of car number 140, Andre Salanders. This is that 3 wide going into the first corner. He got into the back of poor Ryan Walker. Walker was in 5th position. Walker's not there anymore. Salander, Walker get together. This was that 3 wide battle. Now watch, there's the yellow car of Junk. He goes to the inside. Watch the car on the outside, now on camera left. That's Walker in the lead, the first car in. Salander gets into him. Walker goes around. Salander drives off into the alfalfa. He'll get going. A tough break for GSRC's own Ryan Walker.
Just a situation there of not anticipating just how hard of a break ahead that's going to be. Tough break for Ryan Walker and everybody involved there, but it looks like they've gathered it back up and they're at least running here.
So often what happens is this is a mistake in the mid-pack will break up the lead train, DJ. And so now what we thought could be a long train, now Anderson, Saunders, Vanderbilt, and Burns, they have a race amongst themselves as they've got quite a distance back. But here he comes, Jost Junk. I told you to watch out for him. That yellow car now up into 5th.
Is just under 2 seconds behind, and he's going to be trying to work his way forward as he's already pulled out about a full second gap between him and Wojciech Potacek. As you can see there, that looks like it is going to be absolutely unattainable for him, but do not count Jost Junk out. He's going to be pushing as hard as he can to catch up to this leading 4-pack.
Right on board with the junkyard dog. Nobody in front of him now but the 4 drivers he's trying to catch. And those 4 drivers continue to race nice and clean. Defending champion Anderson up in front of newcomer rookie Reese Saunders. The fan belt in 3rd degree in 4th. A pass for the lead right now. Let's watch the rookie. Here comes Saunders going to the inside. On the inside of Anderson. Anderson with the momentum on the outside as they work through Lake Descent. That's corner number 4. They continue to race side by side. You got to figure DJ Anderson's got to be a little leery of this guy. He doesn't know him very well, but boy, he's fighting hard.
Very reminiscent to me of Juan Pablo Montoya at this very exact track, showing his elbows to Michael Schumacher back in the early 2000s. The rookie just showing to the champion that he is not afraid. I love this out of Reese Saunders, as he is going to have to slot back into P2 there. That attempt not able to work, but certainly getting inside Lee Anderson's head a little bit, as he knows that Reese Saunders is nobody to trifle with.
Usually on these broadcasts, when we end up with those guys up in front, we don't really cover them that much because they're veterans and they know the unwritten rule of just behaving. But since we've got a rookie with Reese Saunders, let's stay on the lead guys a little longer than we normally would, just to see how car number 16 behaves here. You saw him make a run on Anderson. I was really surprised that Lee fought so hard to stay out in front.
I was too, and especially trying to push him very wide coming through turns 4 and 5. I think that's definitely a case of, let us say, rookie courage. He wants to show these guys that he deserves to be in Formula Neagle. He's pushing ahead, as you see him here fanning out really wide going down the main straight, almost like they're flying in formation here.
Boy, Anderson had that car as far over track left as he could, defending the inside. The momentum on the outside now to Saunders, and he's got the lead. New leader for the first time ever, Reese Saunders, the rookie, out in front. All this battling between those guys up front have slowed down the pace of the front two, and now it is just 1.5 seconds back to that hot dog colored car of Just Junk back there in the yellow and pink machine as he leads Wojciech Potocek in 5th.
Lee Anderson there maybe thinking about taking a move outside into turn 4, but thinking better of it as they're just going to keep going line astern here. These guys not want to do anything. Here comes Anderson diving out to the outside, on board with Anderson here. You can see him coming through. This turn 6, 7, 8 complex is incredibly tricky. You've got to be light on the brakes, just slow the car just enough, and then bring on the brakes here for turn 8. That's a really, really slow second gear corner, and then slow it down even more for turn 9, that long hairpin that seems to never end. Anderson trying to take different lines here, maybe trying to get inside Saunders' head a little bit.
Let's come off of this camera shot here, and we're going to jump back to 7th position here, because this is a battle. So often, the most exciting racing is not up front. Let's assume that the leaders behave. This is Saunders, Lucal, Crook, Garrels, and there was a minute there, Vincent Brame. Garrels just made contact with the car and almost went off into the grass. These guys have been really fighting aggressively. Right now, I think that little mistake as going off into the grass there, the yellow car of Cole opens up the inside for Crook now, and Crook gets a run. Cole, number 27, he's going to lose a lot of momentum in a lot of spots.
He is, and Vincent Brem also going to take advantage of that, pushing up the inside and diving down onto the main straight here. That's going to be 2 positions lost in the course of about 2 corners, but it looks like he's going to fight back here as they're going to go 3 wide into turn 1.
They get that. Let's see if they get there. There's not enough room, boy. Getting close on the door. Did he get caught? My goodness, that was Garrels. Not only did he close the door, he slammed it, locked it, and then like nailed it with a 2x4 shut. Holy moly, coming across the nose of Cole. They keep it going. Now,
jump
up in front. Go ahead.
Sauer and Lucal, and there you see Sauer getting taken by Eric Lucal down into turn 4. Good move from him to be able to pull that off, but Lucal's going to try back here, maybe trying to get something working into turn 6. He's going to dry up in that draft, see if he can get it to work, maybe dive to the inside here. No, he's just going to stay, nose astern, try to line him up. That's a little bit of a sideways move there from Lucal. That may give him the advantage for Sauer. Not again, he's just going to want a wider line through this hairpin, try to maybe force a mistake.
Remember, when we came on this battle, it was a 5 or 6 car battle with Lucal and Sauer leading the way, but all the nonsense going on behind them has allowed those 2 guys to fight for 7th and 8th position. Let's jump up 2 spots. Let's go to Junk and Potocek now. They have also left behind. The distance now 1.6 seconds as Junk not able to get up to the leaders. Maybe we should check back in on the leaders, see what they're up to. They seem to be behaving, DJ.
They're running 1, 2, 3, 4, not really popping out, not really doing anything. I think they may have recognized the threat coming up from Just Junk, and they're able to pull it out, as we're going to see here as they cross the lines, looking to see who's going to have the fastest lap on this one. As it was Wojciech Potocek on the last lap, having the fastest lap of the race. This time, Lee Anderson asserting his dominance with a 52.892, really showing that he's the one to go.
You can see those leaders go right under the screen there as we looked at the battle for 5th and 6th. Anderson back out in front. Anderson again took that defensive line down the straightaway to track left, making Saunders go very wide. It worked for Saunders once. It didn't work this time. Let's stay on this now as Saunders, my goodness, I don't think he had his meal today. He looks really hungry.
He does indeed. Just kind of forcing the nose a little bit to the inside there on that straight. Maybe trying to make Lee Anderson sweat a little bit. He's got a better run, though, coming off of turn 5. He's going to come to the inside, maybe try to compromise Lee Anderson's run. No, he's just going to stay in line, and that may put him in position to be taken from behind there. It looks like, nope, they're going to run line astern, and having the reverse commentator's jinx of excitement coming into effect me there.
Remember, they all start with the same amount of fuel, but that doesn't mean they burn the same amount of fuel. You got to figure that Anderson and Saunders are working harder than the guys back behind. Johan Vandeveld and David Burns has just been sitting back in 4th position, watching the show, lifting, saving. Maybe when it's pit stop time, He won't have to stay in as long. You know, compared to like if you watch a Dallara race where the fuel goes in really, really fast, the fuel fills very, very slowly in these skippies. So if you can save a little bit of fuel, it translates to quite a few seconds.
It does indeed. You know, these are the way iRacing does calculate the fuel is this is not a force-fed fuel system. It is a gravity-fed system, so really replicating that well. And frankly, Burns' run here, very reminiscent of the season closer last year from Zandvoort, where he just kind of sat back in that popcorn position and let everything happen ahead of him until about the last 3 laps where he put the pedal to the metal. So we could be in for a repeat here from David Burns as you see Saunders and Anderson getting really close there through the Senna S.
Yeah, clearly Burns is in a much safer position than Anderson is right now, with Saunders back behind him being very aggressive. Going to ride on board with the 2-time champion, looking up ahead of him, ducking now, weaving left and right, working both sides of the street like a drunken mailman is Reese Saunders, trying to find his way around Anderson. Vanderbilt right behind him as you see Burns just sitting back, having a good race.
Burns has got to be just loving this. If I'm just a racing fan, I've got to be enjoying the view from his perspective. You know, it's really interesting. Reese Saunders, I keep saying it, but it just seems like he is trying to assert dominance here. He's trying to show that he's just not the new kid in town, that he's got something for it, and he wants to go for the win. Obviously, this is a little bit shorter season than we're used to seeing, so all points are important to grab here. But for Saunders, he just wants to get in front, wants to stick it to Lee Anderson, and it's really proven to be a heck of a race for us to watch and call here.
This is Sebastian Johansson, car number 13. He is, let's see if he is actually on the lead lap. He is the last car on the lead lap. Let's see how he does, because it's not one car he's got to let around, it's 4. Looks like they may catch him at a really good spot as he's on the straight here. Maybe a little bit of lift from Johansson and let these 4 guys go by.
He's going to keep the lift there and do that. If I'm going to be Anderson or Saunders or Bell or any of these guys coming up from behind, I'm going to be very worried that I'm going to catch Johansson in that middle sector where getting stuck behind somebody can really, really cost me. As you see there, Anderson going slightly defensive, just trying to take a different line, trying to show Saunders his wing a little bit. Lock up from behind, lock up all around, and there goes Johansson getting out to the outside and letting everybody by.
He got really loose in front of him. That's where my O came from. I thought he was going to lose it right in front of him. Then he says, I'll just lift, lets him right by. Big gap now. You can see it on the tower. That gap from Burns to Yunk, the Junkyard Dog, not able to make up any ground. Now almost 3 seconds back. So we'll continue to watch this battle up front. We will jump around a little bit as these guys seem to have settled down some. Let's go ahead and find another director. Let's go back and look at, we'll find somebody here. Let's go to 9th position. Let's look at this. This is the one we've been watching before. This is Garros, Cole, and Salander. Now Salander, the F2, in that F2 chase, Cole, the rookie.
And you see it here with Salander maybe trying to get something around Cole, trying to work his way around, trying to figure anything out as Cole now looking on the inside of Gyros, just looking for anything through here. So difficult to pass through this middle sector as it's just twisting corner after twisting corner, heavy braking zones, but all those heavy braking zones preceded by medium high-speed corners where you've just got to be on a little bit of trail brake. Very difficult to be able to actually pull off a pass. You're going to be much better to do it coming down into turn 1 or turn 4.
I heard DJ talk about it a little bit, but the cost of making a mistake here. With this rule package, we watched that yellow car of Cole really working there on Garros. With a short season and no drop races, one mistake can pretty much, you can almost, if you get a mistake on the very first lap, we got a pitter. It is the rookie coming in. Reese Saunders has come in early. Again, I question this one from the rookie. He's not going to have a friend now.
A really interesting call from Saunders. I think he'll be able to make it to the end potentially, but he's going to have to save some fuel as it looks like Andre Salander also coming into the pits. So Saunders not the only one with this logic. I think the only thing he can be thinking is maybe just come out and try to go for the undercut as Vincent Brem and John Torpy behind him also take him to the pits.
Before the undercut terminology became popular, my dad used to call this the early peel, late reveal. You peel off early, and what's revealed later is, hey, I'm out in front. don't know if Saunders has the pace to actually outrun these guys, as he's out of the pits right now. He cycles out into 4th, 5th position. Let's go back and look at Saunders. Here's one of the disadvantages to this, DJ. As you look at 15th position now, Reese Saunders, he comes out behind Louis Lujan and Peter Houston and Pablo Santista. There's their battle. So he's got some traffic to go through.
He does, and he's really catching them at that worst time, as we talked about. That middle sector there, very, very difficult to even attempt to get out past anybody. But for Saunders, being behind these guys may end up helping him. It may give him a good run down the main straight, get a good draft, try to pull out alongside, not lose a whole lot of time. But nevertheless, if I'm him on a 40-lap race, pitting on about minute 15, it seems a bit early, and I think if you're able to eke out a little bit more fuel, it's going to help you. But, you know, listen, I'm not the one racing these things for a reason, so we'll see if he knows something I don't here.
We talked about bonus points for hard charger. Leader of this pack, Peter Huston. Let's see, he started in 31st position, is up to 15th, so we cut that in half. I believe he's looking at that bonus point. Let's stay on this a bit, because here comes a challenge from Lujan to the outside again. Look at Huston take that inside line, the same line that Lee Anderson was doing, forcing the pass to be made on the outside, the longer way around. And I'm not sure if Lujan has the momentum to get this done, but my gosh, that's a beautiful paint scheme from Lujan there as they go into corner number 1. Holy moly, not only did Lujan not get the position, but it opened the door for there's Saunders. Saunders is in a hurry. You remember, Saunders is racing the guys that are on the other side of the track, Anderson, Belden, and Vanderbilt.
Saunders not waiting at all for anybody ahead of him, just absolutely flying through that corner, and he's now going to have Peter Huston there, it looks like, coming down on that long straightaway into turn 4. He's already got the move done as he starts to apply the brakes for this. Go, and he's hit. Houston ran back him.
And collecting him on the outside, that was Santista. And that's the problem with that early peel, late reveal strategy. You put yourself back in traffic. And I don't want to chalk it up to a rookie mistake, but I'm going to chalk it up to a rookie mistake. Here we go.
As you see here, Saunders really able to get better power down around that outside of turn 3. They go side by side down the straightaway, but that momentum just able to help carry him here. And you see it lining up, line astern. He's going to start to apply the brakes there, not anticipating just how hard of a brake that's going to be. Luckily, Saunders able to catch it, but behind him, just absolute carnage, entering both of those driver days, it looks like.
It's pit stop time. No, it's not, Lee Anderson. Shame on you. My gosh, you were coming into pit lane, and you did it to me. The curse of Interlagos. You know, you were talking about that Saunders not understanding how early he was going to brake. Saunders spent the entire first part of the race behind guys who are really fast. When you're behind somebody who is a mid-packer, DJ, we brake earlier.
Oh, we very much do. I know I have been the guilty party when it comes to having faster cars behind me and taking my normal braking line and just getting plowed into. So it's really and truly, it is on both drivers there to make sure that they know, especially if you're behind, you're the faster driver, you have to anticipate. It is better to lose a 1/10 of a second braking just a little bit early rather than losing your wheels and completely ending your race like that. So it happens. It is a mistake that happens, but it is a very common one nonetheless.
All right, the leaders continue to go around in order. Now they've lost their rookies, so now you got 3 very, 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 very veterans right now. Let's go back and look at Houston real quick. We look at this battle.
That's Jost Junk and Wojciech Podacek there. The 4th and 5th place cars still just absolutely scrapping it out. You see there Podacek trying to take the corners a little bit wider, taking different racing angles than Jost Junk, trying to find a 10th or 2 anywhere. Now, this is the point that I would expect one of these drivers to jump into the pits. If I'm Wojciech Podacek, I'm thinking right here, I jump in, try to maybe get a little bit of an undercut, get a really good outlap, and try to use that to get by Junk if I'm having trouble to do it on the track.
We can tell you that the leaders have all stayed out again. Let's stay on this one and see if these guys stay out this time. Look at this racing line. See how close it is? Oh, okay, that time Young decides to come in. My goodness, DJ, I think you might have called that one.
I don't believe it. That's the first time I've actually gotten one of those predictive calls right. So it's a good day for me. As we're going to jump up here to Local and Sauer as they battle out for P5 right now. That's Sauer really trying to make anything he can behind him coming out of the Senna S. He's dropped back to about 0.4 of a second back, but he may be able to gain back up a little bit here. He's taking advantage of the draft coming out of turn 3.
A lot of pit stops going on now. Let's go back. Let's go back to car number 57, Director Edgar Sancinelli, back in 18th position. See a little bit of battle here with Andre Solander. It's good to see Sancinelli having a nice run. Solander just makes that pass. We'll give these guys a little love here before the pit stops open. Sancinelli, a veteran of the series. He's got a couple rookies, Joseph Cavini, chasing him there. We'll get these last names down as the season goes along. And back in 20th there, Frederick Neptune.
And Frederick Neptune has already taken a pit stop. He took one about 2 laps ago, so he is effectively ahead of these guys on track. And for Neptune right now, it's really just going to be about making sure that he is able to get as much time and as much advantage as he can out of this draft, waiting for the guys ahead of him to peel off.
I don't need to go there. I can report that Rickard De Silva got into a little bit of contact with Guerros. De Silva got the worst of it. He's in the wall. He'll have to take a fast repair. All right, coming out of the final corner. It could be pit stop time now. Let's see what the frosted purple machine of Lee Anderson does. He's in the pit entry lane. Now, will he stay there or will he pull out? He's going to come across the line again. He's doing it just to annoy the commentator. He came really close to that little wall there that separates pit lane and the racetrack.
Every time I watch a race here, whether in iRacing or real life, I am always amazed that we don't see more accidents on that pit lane attenuator, as drivers just seem to try to get as close to it as possible to give the fans and the commentators as many heart palpitations as humanly possible.
Okay, now it looks like, let's see if Potocek, he must have made his stop if I'm looking at that one. Director, maybe, I'm not sure if you can find. Okay, let's go ahead and pick up Use Junk and see how here comes Potocek coming out. We want to see how he fares with the yellow and pink car of Use Junk because they were racing together. DJ said, come in, look at the pit entrance and look at Junk. There's Junk right there.
Wow, that undercut really paying off for Joost Junk there, as it looks like he's able to pull out almost 4-second advantage coming off of pit lane there. So big move from Joost Junk, and right ahead of him, about 5 seconds ahead of the line, that's Reese Saunders. So that's the other one to take into account here. Now Saunders is about 29 seconds back of the leaders, so we're going to have to see if that super early stop as we watch Saunders here, if that's going to pay off. It may just work out for him. He may be able to keep it up even with that contact, but we'll have to see here with Anderson, Beld, and Burns maybe coming in this time.
Saunders' pit stop time, 11.2. Young's 12.2. Potocek, who got burned, 14.2. So you can kind of see why Potocek was so far back. Now the question is, maybe Potocek took the right amount of fuel and Young short-filled. Leaders stay out.
It looked like they turned away there at the pit lane just to mess with us, Soup. I think they're having a lot.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous what they're doing. And notice how these veterans, you know, you would think newcomers to a GSRC broadcast would say, why don't you spend your time up front covering these guys? They are just behaving, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs. They're just racing comfortably. They know that nothing's going to be decided until after the pit stop. What surprises me, DJ, is that Anderson has agreed to stay out in front and burn fuel.
Yeah, that is a little bit interesting, but as we were talking to Johan Vandevelde before the race, you know, he did say that with as hard as you have to work through this middle sector, that fuel saving is very difficult, even with the power of the draft. So I'm wondering if he's run some pre-race calculations and just kind of knows that he's not really going to be able to do much of it. So we're going to have to see what he's able to do here. Obviously, Anderson, you know, dominated last year's race, so he clearly knows more than we do, Soup, but at the same time, he really and truly just looks to be like he has everything where he wants to be, I've got to imagine he's going to be coming in here any moment, but we'll have to see.
Want to give a little screen time to car number 19 in 7th position, Ryan Walker. He had that early incident. He's able to salvage that. Oh, we got a big one. Garros, let's find this one. Car number 36 happened right now. Garros and Kevin Mills. They were well back in the order, racing for about 16th or 17th position. This one is ugly.
Like they just got a little chippy coming down out of that turn 3 corner, just trying to show each other the nose, be a little gutsy, and the two of them just collided, very reminiscent of the Ferrari collision last year at the same track.
Okay, now we have two guys in. Anderson and Vanderbilt have started to come in. David third-degree Burns, who raced behind those guys the entire race, has decided to stay out. I understand that. The problem for Burns is he's got Pablo Santiste to get around here. Don't want to lose lap time here. Now you're looking there at Vanderbilt is in front, Anderson in the frosted purple machine right behind. Vanderbilt in his familiar number 18. Now here's the guy. Go ahead, DJ.
You just see Saunders crossing the start-finish line as these guys start to head out of pit entry. Now that pit entry is a little bit tighter, a little bit slower, but I think Saunders is still going to be a little bit too far back. Yes, he is. He's going to be way far back. That undercut really not paying out for him. You can see Saunders coming into your screen just there up the way.
Yeah, remember, he was right with these guys. Of course, he did run into some problems. When you look at that, you see how he's fallen off. Let's turn our attention to the car in first. Car number 125, two-time champion, David third-degree Burns. He's got around Santiste now. He lost a little bit of time. He's racing Anderson and Vanderbilt, who are on the other side of the track. They've made their stops. Burns, one of the only cars still to pit. Troy Banks has yet to make a stop.
Exactly. I would not be surprised if we see him come in here. As a matter of fact, I would be floored if he is able to go one more lap. But Burns now making his way up. We're going to have to see how he does on this pit lane, and this could very well be the pit stop for the race lead.
They don't change tires in Formula Neagle because it takes too long and the advantage is just not there. So what Burns was able to do, though, was race one extra lap with the car being a little lighter since he didn't fuel. Burns is a veteran. He brings it down into pit lane. One of the more boring things to watch on GSRC is a pit stop because nothing actually happens. I can just tell you. Now, here's the battle. These guys, Anderson is racing hard. Burns has found his box without a problem. So we're looking at Anderson. They go by pit entry. Go, DJ.
Anderson able to get that move by Bell there as here they come. You're going to see there comes David Burns just coming out. This is going to be super, super tight here. Burns ahead on the track, but has to take that little bit wider, tighter entrance. He's going to have the lead coming out, I think, out of this turn 3 complex. He will be in front. The question is going to be by how much and if he's able to keep the speed up and if Anderson's able to claw anything back here with the draft on this straightaway.
Out in front by just over a second, but I'm not sure it's far enough to pull away. Burns' stop, well, Anderson's stop about 14 seconds. Vanderbilt's stop, 11 seconds. My goodness, quite a difference there. I think when it's all said and done, these three guys are going to be back together again.
I think they will.
And now, GJ, what we can start to watch is we'll see if anyone does what one of our commentators, Joe Peak, likes to call reconnaissance racing. See if anybody tries to make a move out of the final corner to see if they can snatch the win on that last lap.
I think it's certainly something worth trying, especially if I'm Johan Vanderbilt here. I'm going to want to see where the best time to put the throttle down is. Now, in counter to that, if I'm Lee Anderson, I'm going to be starting to play with braking points a little bit coming out of that turn 13 corner. I'm going to want to deliberately try to make Bell be scared of what I can do in that corner. Make him think I'm going to back off, force Bell back on to the brakes himself, throw him off guard a little bit, try to break that draft as much as possible. This last corner, this last run, it really almost acts like an oval in the way that it is and in the way that the draft works here. So you're going to see a lot of that sort of deliberate positioning, and you're going to see a lot of the interesting ways to try to defend.
As we ride on board with Vanderbilt, the fan belt said to us before the race, he doesn't have the pace, the flat out pace to race with these guys. He's got to stay in the draft, and he's working real hard to do that. So I think he's got a chance at this. If Anderson and Burns were to be able to distance themselves a little bit and break the draft, they could run away from Vanderbilt, and then he would be in the mess with Saunders coming and the guys behind him. What I'd like to do right now, with just a tick under 9 minutes of racing to go, let's give you a run through the field. We're going to look at those top three guys. We're not going to stay there too long. We're looking at Burns, Anderson, and Vanderbilt. They race together. Director, I want to jump back now to 14th position, car number 16, Reese Saunders. He was with these guys earlier, but now Saunders made that early stop. He's lost contact with them. In 16th and 4th position racing all by himself is Reese Saunders. Car number 16 in 4th position, Reese Saunders. Then we go back to car number 24, David Third Degree Burns. I'm sorry, Youst Junk. There is Saunders. Then we go back to car number 24, Youst Junk in racing in 5th position. With quite a gap, we go back to Potacek in car number 28 in 6th spot, all by himself. The first battle we get to, as we look at Lucal, car number 42, racing in 7th position. We'll get to this battle here. Car number 14th, Ludwig Sauer, all by himself in 8th. Then we get to car number 27, 9th position. This battle here, we'll follow this one. Cole and Salanders in battling for 9th position, and Ryan Walker behind them. That runs you through the top 10 there, DJ. The only real battle is up front and then back here for 9th.
It is indeed, and Andre Salander really trying to push forward as best he can here. Obviously, one of the top 5 place finishers in Formula 1 last year and in F2 as well. He was tied for that first place position. So he's going to be trying to find a way any way he can by here. That bright yellow car of Joe Cole. Looks like he's got a little hair bit of a run here. I'm not sure if that's going to be close enough, but he is going to dive to the inside, try to make it work. He is going to get that preferred line and have the momentum to carry it. If he can get the power down, he's going to block off the apex, and it looks like he's able to make that line work beautifully through the Senna S's. Kudos to Andre Salander there. Really, really great driving.
Let's go up front. We got news. I talked about it. Johan Vanderbilt said he didn't have the pace. All of a sudden, I think the champion said, it's time to race. And DJ, Anderson, and Burns are working real hard to make this a 2-car battle.
They're working really hard, and they're doing a pretty successful job at it here with just over 6 minutes to go here in the first race of the season for Formula Neagle. David Burns really starting to put the pressure on Lee Anderson as we come through that turn 11 and 12 complex, starting to go down here to this sweeping left-hander of turn 13 and onto the main straight. You see Anderson there jink out to the outside, getting up onto that runoff area a little bit, trying to maximize the speed he can through that last corner. He's been taking that angle through most of the race, and it seems obviously to be working for him as he is in first place right now.
We're going to focus our attention for these final 5 minutes and 40 seconds on Anderson and Burns, with Vanderbilt trying to hang on, and we'll also jump into that Cole battle back there a little bit to see how that plays out. Right now, I think we might have a pass for the lead. No, Burns is just playing with him. Not only that, DJ, he didn't even test it to see where to make the pass. I think Burns must feel pretty confident he knows what he needs to do and where he needs to do it.
You know, I've said it before, it's very similar to the race that he ran last year at Zandvoort. Just very patient, waiting it out. He's got a good run here coming down into turn 3, but he backs off a little bit, just knowing that he's going to have to force it there and doesn't want to have to do that. He knows where he has the speed and doesn't really want to show his hand yet. As you see there in the background, Johan Vanderbilt real wide. That is going to effectively drop him off from this leading pack, I think, unfortunately.
He's working as hard as he can, the Dutch driver, Johan Vanderbilt, trying everything he can to get up to the guys. The good news for Johan is he's got about a 5.5 seconds cushion back to Saunders, so unless he makes a serious mistake, he's not going to lose that podium spot.
He'll be pretty secure there in P3, and definitely going to be a good result from him as we stay here following David Burns and Lee Anderson, coming around those last couple of tight corners before we get back to the fast bits. You see Burns again. Now watch Anderson here as we come into this last corner. He's going to take that wide line again, trying to maximize as much speed as he can. Burns gets a little bit sideways. That's going to slow him down very slightly, but he's able to take advantage of the draft. Looks like he's able to straighten the car out in turn 14 a little bit better than Anderson. I think he's going to be a little far back to really try anything this time, but once again, just feeling out everything. I think he knows where he's got the speed, and he does not want to do anything that'll give anything away yet.
And they come across the start-finish line right there. You can see how long Burns will have to make a run. All right, let's assume they're going to behave themselves. Let's go back to this battle for 9th position. This is Joe Cole. This is really heating up now. It's Solander out in front, Ryan Walker, Joe Cole, and the Triton is into it. Frederick Neptune started in 20th, up to 12th position. Here's the pass. That's Solander on the inside. Making the move on the outside is Ryan Walker. Walker had that issue earlier, and he's going to get that position as he works his... Was he across the line first? I believe he was. He was able to be... See, now there's an example. As you saw Walker, he wasn't able to finish the pass, DJ, into corner number 1, but he did lead at the line.
He did lead at the line. That's going to be very important. And up in the front, David Burns trying to finally press his advantage. He's going to have the inside line coming through here, turn 7 and 8. He's going to try to keep it. Anderson's going to try to squeeze him a little bit there. Burns is going to have it by a nose, but Anderson's going to have the preferred line into turn 9 there. But Burns is going to pull ahead. David Burns able to get it out. Anderson not giving up, though, fighting back on the outside. But Burns now able to pull ahead and take it away down into turn 11. Burns in the lead.
Boy, he worked hard for that spot. He must think that it's not going to be able to do the slingshot on Anderson is not a done deal, as he really worked hard to get out in front. Now, Burns will start to play defense.
Burns will play defense, right? And we're going to jump back to this other battle, which is heating up here. Ryan Walker under fire from Frederick Neptune. Neptune at the exact same area that we saw Burns and Anderson fighting this out wonderfully. Neptune thinking about the outside, but Walker able to shut that off at the line.
Let's go back to the lead. They are side by side. Anderson making his swing out of the final corner. And this time, Anderson gets the nod at the line. Burns is going to tuck in behind. 1 minute and 43 to go. I believe this is going to be the white flag lap. I don't see that officially yet, but I'm confident we are on the white flag lap. Let's stay on this. Let's stay on this one right here. Anderson out in front, Burns behind.
You see Burns there trying to fight to the inside. That's Anderson giving him a little bit of that Pruitt fade, trying to get him offline. And it really looked like, watching that lap, that David Burns is going to have to make the pass through the twisty section in Sector 2. He doesn't have the speed coming off of turn 13 to really challenge Lee Anderson. So this is going to have to be where he makes the move. We'll have to see if he can do it again here. He's going to stay line astern. It doesn't look like he's going to go for the pass here, but watch him coming through the next couple of corners.
Now they get through the technical section. Coming up is the right-hander. Now they head into 9. This is called Small Pine. That's the English translation. The frosted purple machine of Lee Anderson, the defending champion. They come down into Duckbill now. Corner number 10. This is a sharp right-hander. Burns is stalking. There's a lap car up in front. It's Matt Tempsas. He's a veteran. He should do a good job of getting out of the way. He will lift and let the leaders go by. That doesn't affect either one of them. They are running out of track, though. They get into junction, corner number 12. This is the final corner. If Burns is going to make the move, he's got to do it now. He is 2 car lengths back. He's in the tow. He is 1 car. He's not gaining as much as I thought. I think DJ said he's worried about the straight line speed. It doesn't seem to be happening. He's now 1 car length back, but he's not closing nearly as quickly as he needs to. They come into the line. And at the line, it is going to be Burns makes his move, but it's going to be too little, too late. Anderson gets a half car length lead. Let's go back and check on the battle for 9th. We'll look up here. Go ahead, DJ.
Coming across the line, he is able to pull that out, followed by Rhys Saunders there. But is that Saunders out of fuel? That's Saunders out of fuel. Saunders falling back. He's going to cross the line at P6. And now we jump back to the battle with Frederick Neptune trying to chase down Ryan Walker.
As they come past pit entrance, I believe that Saunders is going to be able to limp the car across the line. Walker is going to hold off Neptune. Neptune gets that top 10 finish. Solander and Cole. Cole gets the nod on that one as they go 11th and 12th. We'll see if we can pick up any more battles here that might be going on in the track. Let's go back to car number 25, Vincent Bream in 20th position. He's being chased by Eric Lundberg.
And there you see Lundberg trying to get a better run. It looks like Bream went a little bit wide there, got up into the grass. That may hurt him. Lundberg may just be able to have a run. He's about a half a second back here. But that draft certainly able to make up for it if he's able to get the line down. I don't know if he's going to have it, but he may just jinx me here. No, I don't think he's going to have it. Try as he might. That is going to be them crossing the line 1-2.
It didn't work for Burns, and it didn't work for Lundberg. My goodness, what a great opening round for season 22 for Formula Neagle as Lee Anderson gets the win by 4/100ths of a second. The racing is over here in Brazil, but our broadcast is far from done. We'll take a short break, then we'll come back, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Global SimRacing Channel and its coverage of the opening round here for Season 22 of Formula Neagle, sanctioned by the Absolute Beginner League as we come to you from Sao Paulo, Brazil, the famous racetrack at Interlagos. Let's give you the finishing order. Lee Anderson, the defending champion, qualified in third, was able to move up 2 spots to get the win, and he'll get the lion's share of the points. David Third Degree Burns, 2-time champion, will be in second position. A great run from Johan Vanderbilt. Let's talk real quickly about this. He gets the 3 bonus points for being up front. He actually was on the pole, and will get podium position points as well. So a nice opening round for the fan belt. Yus Young is in fourth. Try as he might, he can never get up to race with the guys up front. Needs a better qualifying time to be competitive in this series. Wojciech Potocek in 5th position. Reese Saunders, he ran out of fuel. That's really not the rookie mistake that we're worried about. The rookie mistake was the early peel, late reveal attempt there, the undercut, which is going to work when you're racing with guys like Anderson, Burns up front. Eric Lukal had a nice run in 7th. 8th and 9th, this went to Ludwig Sauer and Ryan Walker. A nice recovery after his spin. And the Trident fan favorite, Frederick Neptune in 10th. DJ?
Joe Cole going to be bringing the car home in 11th place, followed by Andres Solander, unable to get around him in that great battle we were watching. John Torpy coming home in 13th, followed by Neil Bamber in 14th and Aaron Law in 15th. Wojciech Potocek's brother, Michael Potocek, is going to be in 16th, followed by Luis Rodriguez Luan in 17th. Troy Banks in 18th, Nathan Willoughby in 19th, and Edgar Sancinelli bringing the car home in a resounding P20.
5 more drivers on the lead lap. Vincent Bream, Season 5 champion. In the blackjack position, Eric Lundberg in the double duck spot. Joseph Kinney in the 23rd position. Pablo Santiesto and Rob Udzizga. Got to work on these last names down here. Now we get to the guys who will 1 lap down. Matt Tempest, Kevin Mills, Sebastian Johansson, Christopher Garros, and in 30th position, Rickard De Silva. Get the trail in there for me, TJ.
Peter Houston coming home in 31st, 11 laps down. Peter Crook in 17 laps down in 32nd. And Nico Roman, I don't believe, got a lap in, but he will be classified as P33.
I don't have the winner. I have the man who finished second. Try as he might, he came up half a car length and 4/100ths of a second short. David Third Degree Burns. David, I had a hunch the way you fought for that lead that you didn't feel confident you were going to be able to get him on the last corner.
Yeah, you saw it at the last few laps. I was using it to judge where he was, and he's too good out the last corner. I just thought even if he was behind me, he was going to be ahead of me, and even if he was ahead of me, I couldn't catch him by the line. So he deserved that win. He really did.
Interlagos puts on some interesting races. There's technical sections through the twisty part, but then you have those long draft tracks.
Yeah, I quite like Interlagos still because it's one of those tracks where I feel like I can push every corner, and then there's different lines, and then if you've got draft buddies, it's different ones like that. Although to be honest, the start of the race, I did try a fuel save to see if it could help, and I did come out ahead, but it just wasn't enough to stay ahead of Lee. He's just too fast.
We saw you saving fuel. Well, good start to the season. You got yourself the 3 bonus points for being in the top 3 and a nice second place point. So you're in the hunt.
Yep. Cheers for that, guys.
David Burns, 2-time champion, looking to make it a third this time. DJ, who you got?
I've got third place finisher Johan Vandenbeld. Johan, third place, great result. Looks like he just didn't have quite enough to keep up there with Lee and David at the end there, but how was it?
I mean, I feel like, well, this kind of sounds like I put feathers in my own bowl, but I feel like Verstappen driving against the Mercedes drivers, because being this close to David and Lee all race long is something that I would have immediately signed for at the beginning of the race. They were both so quick, and I was lucky, especially the first stint, that I could position myself very well, and that caused me to have to draft, stay with them during the first stint and even the second stint. But I had a small problem in the second stint with some lap traffic that I caught at just the wrong moment, and that caused me to lose the draft. And once those drivers are like 8-9 tenths away from you, you feel the draft effect go away, and that meant that I just couldn't stay with them anymore.
I love that analogy, and it's very apt, I think. And so as the season goes along, you think you're going to be able to maybe challenge up for these guys, or do you think it's going to be out of reach for most of the season for you?
I hope so. Okay, I'm usually a good starter, and I can be good in traffic, like finding my way in the groups that are up front, positioning myself well. And if I can keep that up, I can probably stay up front. But let's face it, David and Lee are way better drivers than me. They're way more skilled. And David was telling that he had haggis this afternoon, so maybe I should eat some haggis as well next time, because I don't know what those guys are eating, but they are way quicker than me. I have no hope to stay with them.
I think a recommendation to eat haggis is always good. Johan, congratulations on third place. We're looking forward to seeing what you can do with the rest of the season.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Guarantee me a win. I don't think it would still give me enough incentive to eat haggis. Thanks to the Absolute Beginner League for organizing Formula Neagle and contracting with GSRC to broadcast. Thanks to the companies and equipment and software you see on the screen right now that we use to stream cyberspace into your place. The original music that gives every GSRC production that unique flavor and feel, that's thanks to June Lalonde. See the screen for contact information. On screen now are some of the upcoming broadcasts. So check it out and mark them down on your calendar. Formula Legal returns in 2 weeks, October 21st. That's not 2 weeks from now, so that date is wrong. It's going to be 2 weeks. October 11th, there we go. For round 2 from Watkins Glen, GSRC will be there on October 11th. We hope that you join us. If you'd like more information about the Global SimRacing Channel and a complete list of future broadcasts, it's real simple, globalsimracingchannel.com. Other options for you, Twitter, GSR Channel, Facebook, Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram, GSRC_Graham. And while you're here, if you haven't become a GSRC YouTube subscriber yet, what's taking you so long? Hit that button to do so. If you're looking for a unique gift, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. Sadly, the Joe Peak Halloween masks are out of stock, but there's still lots of good stuff to choose from there. You'll find something. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that would be DJ, Sean, and Doug, we'd like to thank all of you for watching, as it was the defending champion, Lee Anderson, getting the opening round win here at Interlagos. And now, with all the housekeeping out of the way, it's time for us to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.